You're listening to the Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net. freedomtalkradio.net.
All right, we're on. I'm just waiting to say. All right, it's hi guys. Playing games with Yara over here is intently working on something, and I'll just come in with the. What day is it?
Saturday.
It's a Saturday, okay, and it must be the 11th then, is it?
It is the 11th of the 4th, yeah.
The 11th of April. All right, all good, and we're back on air. 2015, 11th of April, 2015. Remember, this is going to be archived somewhere in the cyberspace of the heavens. And got to keep the records straight. It's 12:03 p.m. Brisbane, Australia time, and this is the home of the Christ Bride. There you go, Lightly Marshall. We live in Tugum, which rhymes with Blugum, which is BLGM if you try to say it. And that's what I taught the kiddies, the children, a couple of years ago when we first moved into Tugum rhymes with Blugum. All right, now that we're past that, what have you got today, babe? I know.
Well, a lot of people have often asked me what the 666 means.
Yes.
Well, it means several things, but I'll just go to my little computer over here. And I mentioned the other day that Solomon, he received 600. I'll just type that in. 66 from his Ammonite and Moabite wives. I've got this written on. How do you spell 60? No, wait a minute. That'll probably do it. There you go.
I'm just here. Ads come on. He says, "Our Father who art in Tugum, hallowed be thy name, Blugum." That's right. That's what I taught. Yes.
All right, so we go to 2 Chronicles 2:13. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 606 talents of gold. There's your 666.
Yes.
Now it's Solomon who got that money. Here is wisdom. Let him that understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 606. You think, well, so what? Well, it's quite easy, really. It's Solomon. Now, why is that so? Well, where did when on the island of Patmos, right? John was saying this on the island of Patmos, and what was he referring to? Well, the 666 is the Babylonian number, so there's your Jews right there. Right? As I've said, I'm not the Messiah for the Jews. Never was. Never will be. Right? I'm here for the children. Right? So, unless you become like a small child, that means give up all religion, all bullshit, and just listen to me and understand what I'm saying to you, that it's God in the flesh, then you got a chance I might recall my order to kill you all. It's very unlikely, however. So we go to Jerusalem. So if you look into your Google Earth, if you like, and you punch in Jerusalem, it'll come up with, I'll go there now and have a look, see, and I'll put the camera on Google Earth, and there's Patmos. This is the cave of the apocalypse. You can find that in Google Earth. So I'll just zoom in there and have a look at that.
While you're doing that, hello Rodney. This is the first time Rodney has joined us.
Oh, good. So then I'm going to go to the Jerusalem, and it's going to zoom down. We'll get rid of this, don't need that. And there's the Temple Mount, which is Jerusalem. So in other words, if you type in Jerusalem, which I'll do that now, and we'll just see how much it moves, if any. You say Jerusalem, Israel, that really annoys me, there's Israel bit. Okay. So they've got it marked here as there. But if you go into the proper GPS and we go to Jerusalem, Jerusalem and the Temple Mount are the same thing. So in other words, since I've been on the scene and they've come up with all this, I'll tell you why. Jerusalem, its latitude and longitude, right? If you add it up, let me find Jerusalem in this one here. There it is. So there's that blue line there is Jerusalem. And it is the Temple Mount. It's the centre of the Temple Mount. But if you add those numbers up, we'll just do it quickly. 3146 add to, that's the latitude, add to 3513. What do you get?
Mm, 6659.
So then you've got to add in, we'll do this now, 3146 point, this is the exact number, right? 478. Add that to 3513.499.
Six 6659977.
So I think that's 666.
Well, if you raise it to, yes.
We're talking 2 metres out here. That's how much difference it is. Right? Because I've done it several times, don't worry about it. I did this stamp back in 1991. Right? So Jerusalem is 666. Why? That's for the Temple Mount. That's why they're busting their gut to destroy the Temple Mount. Now,
the Dome of the Rock.
The best sandstone in the world for building this type of structure comes from South Africa. They've already built a railroad. They've already got the temple built. It's already loaded on the rail cars. They're just waiting to ship it straight out to, I think it's East London, straight onto a ship, straight up to Jerusalem, through the Suez Canal.
Right. Now, when you zoom out on your Google Earth, have you got the Rothschild Israel in there? Because he's proclaiming, obviously he's proclaiming himself as Israel.
Well, of course he is. He's the devil. So what do you want me to do?
Well, zoom out, because it should, if, like it's in my program, Rothschild Israel, Tel Aviv, all capital letters. We didn't put it in there.
No.
And so it's not in yours?
No.
Okay. Anybody else out there? Did you find it in your own programs? Because it's the first time I've been in Jerusalem to look at anything there, but it's in my program, Google Earth, on my computer. Somebody has put it in there and it wasn't me. So.
Well, I know it wasn't you, because we always talk about these things before you do them. So, all right. So why is that so? Well, we're going to look at that a little bit closer. Darius, Now Darius is the fellow that was the son of King Cyrus, when the Essenes had come back after being liberated by the Medes or the Persians, recall to the fact that Cyrus was predicted by Isaiah 185 years before he was born, that number one, he'd be king, and number two, that he would liberate the Essenes, which is in Babylon. Now what they did there, because they're clever, the river that flowed through Babylon, the river had a gate on either end of the city, and the gate went down to the water level. So they built a dam, stopped the water going in, and they, on dry land, they marched in at night.
Right.
And this is where you get the writing on the wall and that kind of thing. But the eye of their God was upon the elders of the Jews, that they could not cause them to cease till the matter came to Darius, and then they returned answer to the letter concerning this matter. So there's got the Jews, the elders of the Jews, they want to be part of the rebuilding of the temple. Right? And the copy of the letter that Tattenai, governor on this side of the river, and the Sheth-Abelnazi and his companions and Aphrodites, which were on the side of the river, said unto Darius the king, a letter unto him wherein was written thus unto Darius the king, all peace. Be it known unto the king that we went unto the province of Judea to the house of the great God, which is builded with great stones, and there timber is laid on the walls, and this work goeth fast on, that prosperous in their hands. So the Jews are bitching about it, but it's already being built by the Essenes. Right? Now, let me see here. Something I wanted to show you. And Darius the Median took the kingdom, and being about 62 years old, 32 years old. And it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said unto the king, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the councillors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 years, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. In other words, if you go in there and you're asking your name or any other god than the one that Darius has now accepted as being the king, which is Jah, and that's why the temple was rebuilt in Jerusalem under the guide of the Essenes, keeping the Jews out, because that's what they're bitching about, right? And there's a decree of 30 years. If they turn around and try to build a temple, they'll kill them. They'll hang them. Right? So it's very interesting that this is not taught in to the Jews or to the Christians. They never talk about this kind of stuff. No one ever says that Solomon. Why? Because Solomon of the Protestants and now the Catholics is all ruled by Freemasonry, and Freemasonry worship Solomon. Now, if Solomon, who is now worshipped by Freemasonry, if they, under this decree, were to rebuild the temple, destroying the temple that's already there, which is the Dome of the Rock, it means death. Go for it. Once this decree is made in the name of God, that's it. And if they go and build this temple, and they've already got it, as I said, in South Africa, it's already done deal. It's already on the rail, ready to go. It's on a train, ready to go. Right? All the carriages ready to go. Done deal. They've even built a railroad line from it to East London. That's how serious these idiots are. Right? It's all Rothschild money, who cares? It just prints it. Right? There's no cost involved when something like that involved. They just say, well, how much money do I? Just a second, press the button, George. Or Yoshi, press the button. How many rand do you want? Get the job done. That's what it's all about. So, let's see here. So, this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward that it's what it's all about. So, when the temple was eventually going to be built, what happened was the time had passed, and the Jews are still trying to get involved with it. Well, the people that had the authority to do so were the descendants and the people of Daniel, and of course they're all Essenes. They wouldn't go along with it. No way, because they're building the temple of their God, not the temple of the Jews' God, which is Moses, bullshit, Lucifer.
Yeah, right.
So by the time they get it built, it's now the temple of Yahweh. So that is why, as I spoke to you many times about this, that the temple is the world.
Yes.
And the world is the money changers. So you've got the parable of the Jesus and the money changers. He goes in the temple and he turfs them all out, and all the sacrifices and selling bloody turtle doves and sheep and goats and everything else for sacrifice. He turfs a lot out, right? Makes a scourge and whips them all. Do not defile my father's temple. Yahweh's temple. So by 70 AD, the prophecy is get out of Jerusalem. But they stay. There was 454, get this, synagogues in Jerusalem up until 70 AD. 450, all dominated by the Essenes. Imagine that.
Right.
454. Now, that's the height of the pyramid up to the rejected capstone.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a sign there, like do the numbers. So they don't do that. So what happens? The Jews have taken over in Rome, as they usually do, by subversive means. All the Romans wanted was the taxes. They're not interested in any God. Blah, blah, blah. They ignored the letter sent from Pontius Pilate. Right? The Jews had ignored the letter by Caiaphas. So they're going for their own control of the temple. But they've got to get rid of it. So they get the Romans to do it. And they invent a story how the Essenes were doing these terrible things against Rome. And next thing the Romans said, right, we're going in. So you can look at who was king at the time, or the emperor at the time, Caesar at the time. And you find a lunatic, right? So this is what always what happens. Evil gets lunatic in power. Like we got Obama, for example, fucking lunatic, right? So all the government leaders in the world are all lunatics. They're all part of the same brush, right? So we have Solomon's temple. They want to rebuild it. It never was rebuilt after destruction, right? But then you've got the lands was taken over by another stupid move by the British and the French and the Pope by the Crusades. And the stupid things they did there, to give an example of it, how stupid they were. They had the power to keep out any of the Saladin's army, no problem. But they decided to go on a march without taking provisions and water out from the desert.
Yes, they thought it would be
They thought it would be such a pushover. Right? But Saladin just stepped back and waited. Then they got thirsty.
They all died of thirst.
They got weakened with thirst. And they just went in and butchered. Right? Now, why had that happened? What was the skirmish all about? What pissed Saladin off? Well, they
were living in peace until that time.
Of course it was. They couldn't have cared less. Right? But what happened was Saladin's sister was beheaded by the invaders, by the Crusaders.
Idiots.
They wanted a skirmish. They wanted war.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing as the Freemasons today.
Yeah.
They control by doing damage. They don't want to kill outright. They want to control by doing damage. So therefore that takes, let's say someone's got a leg cut off, well, you've got to have people looking after that person.
Yeah.
The person's taking up resources. It's called maiming.
Not kill, maim.
Not kill, to maim.
It takes about 5 people to look after a maimed person.
That's right.
Resources of a nation.
So you've got the resources of the nations today. They do the maiming in another way. They do it through the vaccinations and pharmaceutical corporations and the water and the chemtrails. Like we've got chemtrails out there today and yesterday. So you can't see the sun. So we're going to go to New Zealand. Right? We're going to be there on my holy days. And we're going to be down in a camp event somewhere. I mean, I did the measurements, but it doesn't mean we have to go there. What it means is we'll get the highest location on a mountain somewhere, look at the darkest point in the solar system and the universe itself, the galaxy itself, south of the equator. And it's why Harrington was down there, and they murdered him because he saw what's coming in. Right? So we're going to go down and have a look. Right? See if they can stop me. Right? Even worse, see if they can stop you. Because they can't do that.
No.
Now, so there's your 666, the Solomon, and he received the 666 talents of gold, and then it goes through to, of course, Revelation 13:18. So we can also go to the Gematria of in English of that. We can then break it all down, see what words it is, which I'll do later on. I mean, I've done it over and over and over again. It all tells the same story. So it was the temple of Yahweh that the Jews organised the Romans because they didn't give a shit at the time. Actually, look up the emperor at 70 AD of Rome. See who it was. I have done it, I've forgotten. But there's a lunatic. Those lovely lips.
I hope they're straight today, I just realised.
Lips?
Yeah.
Well, one's alright, the top one's alright. Let's zoom in on the bottom, not one.
I realised for the longest time putting my lips on without any glasses on ends up with crooked lips. Okay, the siege of Jerusalem.
I stopped using lipstick years ago.
Now we're using lipstick of a different kind. It's called Q-stick. Lips all over.
Q-stick?
All right. Yeah, it's called lipstick.
Oh, of course,
yeah. Yeah, the lipstick. Right. You've forgotten already.
I have.
Okay, here we go. The siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD was the decisive event of the first, here we go, Jewish-Roman war. What bullshit that is. It was all... the Roman army led by the Emperor Titus, with Tiberius Julius Alexander as his second in command, besieged and conquered the city of Jerusalem, which had been occupied by its Jewish defenders in 66 AD. The siege ended. We know that...
They thought they were Jews. But again, the Jews...
These are the Idumean half-breed Babylonian...
They're already gone. That was dispersed, right? They're already gone off. That's why the diaspora is all about. The Jews are taken off to go and invade themselves into every other land they could.
Infest.
That was infested.
Like the maggots that they are.
It's like a maggot. You've got a dead corpse, which is Israel, the nations of Israel. It's a dead corpse. They've got filled up with maggots. And they're called Jews. That's what they do. That's how they operate. If it's evil, they do it. If it's not evil, they don't do it. I mean, if they ever do something good, it's a mistake. If they ever tell the truth, it's a mistake. Right? Only at the point of the gun will they tell the truth, and even then, they'll worm their way out of it some way, like a maggot. But they are.
Adam's just joined us. Adam's just joined us. He says, "Hi mate, sorry, been cracking another large skull." And Rodney's posted a link. Yahweh's face appearing in the sky at sunrise. Much love.
Good.
I'll go and have a look at that. But yeah, so go on. More about...
I've forgotten, yeah.
Oh, well, we're talking about the Jews, maggots infesting the
diaspora. That's what Hitler was on about. He got it right, see? And that's why he had to go. That's why Germany had to go. That goes back to Dresden in
1882.
82. And you said there was 30 nations gathered there.
Well, 300 people. 300
people representing
leaders of their nations.
Yeah.
Christian nations.
To see what they could do about the stranglehold that the Jews had put on their economies around the world through the banking system. And that, if you like, is why the Americans built the long-range bombers. They'd taken I think they call them super fortress, but Lancaster bomber, which was also in England. They extended the wings and put extra two engines on, loaded with fire incendiary bombs. Now the distance from London to Dresden is over 600 miles. Now in those days, a bomber, they go 600 miles with fully loaded, like 30 tons of bombs, and then turn around and come back. It's quite a feat, right, for those days.
Yes.
Right. So it's almost the same as taking an empty plane and flying across Australia. Because if it's not full with the weight, they go a lot longer.
Yes.
Right? So it could possibly fly across Australia and back.
Yeah.
And one way, right? A long way, or America.
Mm.
Right? Certainly the length of America. No problem. Like from New York to Texas. That's phenomenal for that time. Right? Yeah, so it was the Lancaster bomber and several others they had. But, yeah, so what do they do? Firebomb. Now, what do they do with Japan? Firebomb.
Yes.
Now, Japan was mainly built of cedar. Right? So these buildings they had that were not main buildings, like government buildings, etc. The housing was cedar. So they firebombed it. Now, there was something in the order of 156 bombing raids of firebombing on Japan. And these produced a temperature of 1,000 degrees Celsius. People were incinerated. You talk about Nagasaki and Hiroshima, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Right, one bang, so what? Yeah, the dead already survived it, right? But not firebombing. It's coming, you can see it coming, you can't get away, the streets are jam-packed with people trying to get out, crowded in, and the fire just comes over and consumes it, because what happens is the fire is so intense, it brings the heat up, and the heat rising brings the air in, and then there's fire. That's how they did it. Then they put fires all around it, so the fires would go inwards. Have a big fire in the middle, and all fires, incendiaries on the outside, so people trying to flee would be brought in, and the fire would come in at a tremendous rate. The winds that might be 200 miles per hour, or 300 kilometres per hour for Europeans, and would incinerate them. In Dresden, it was the capital of, well, it's actually, so far as a beautiful city is concerned, it was likened to the German Florence. Right? And magnificent buildings and so forth, but a lot of hospitals there, because it's down from the Russian front.
Right.
And the soldiers coming back after the Russians were trying to chase them out, they were in Dresden, because Dresden was so far away from the English that it was relatively safe, so they thought.
Yes.
Right? And there was billeting people there, and so several families were in one house, to the point where people were living on the streets, camped on the streets. There were so many people there. And it was the hospitals were working overtime for the wounded coming in, right? And then, God bless the English and Americans, they bombed it. And then they did the same thing as they do in Japan, bombs on the outside, and then the bombs on the big ones in the middle, and then the fire column goes up, that brings the fires inwards. And we've read horrid stories about how the roads were so hot that children who had lost their parents were running and getting burnt alive and melting into the blacktop. Right?
It's the most despicable thing I've ever...
And what was it in 20 minutes? 130,000 people.
135,000.
You think I'm going to take fucking vengeance over this?
God bless America. God bless England.
God bless them, all right.
The Jews.
So that's the story. Now, the Bible is 99% bullshit. And then you got your Gospels, and the Gospels you got to be very careful of. Some of it made it through, because a lot of the Gospels did. So you got the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you got Isaiah in there, and you got Daniel, and all the books except the Book of Esther. And the Book of Esther, that was all about the heroine Esther that managed to turn the tables on the Persians, I think it was, and killed 75,000 people by turning the tables by sexual means on the head or the king or wherever he was of...
well, it was Haman who was hung, because the decree was to go out to slaughter the Jews. Get rid of the Jews. Then
okay, so that book never made it into the Dead Sea Scrolls. So you've got all of the Old Testament, 37 books except one. So there are 36 books. There's just sacred number again, 36. And of course, who would put them in there? Well, in 153 BC, this is when the Romans started showing. So the Essenes who wrote all the stuff and hid them away, they headed to Carmel. Right? The other Essenes that were of a different group were in what is called the Herodian Way, which is a suburb that led the main drag going to the palace of Herod. Right? Now remember, by that time there was tetrarchs. That means there was divided up into 4 different sections. Divisions. So they looked towards Herod to liberate them from the Jews. Hello. They weren't Essenes. They were Jews. They had I'll tell you, if you look up, you got your Bible open there? What to look for?
Yes.
Look up the Herodians. Should be in 3 verses or something like that.
Herodians. Yes, 3 verses, beginning with Matthew 22:16.
Can I read that out? See what it says?
And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, and teachest the way of God in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, for thou regardest not the person of men. And then that leads into the, tell us therefore what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Verse 18 says, But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he saith unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the thing which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When they heard these words, they marvelled and left him and went their way. So it was the Herodians who came out with the Pharisees, right? And then in the next verse it goes on that the same day came to him the Sadducees, which say there is no resurrection,
right,
and asked him. So that goes on. But the next time they're mentioned is Mark 3:6. And the Pharisees went forth and straightway took counsel with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him. And then the next verse is Mark 12:13. And they send unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words.
That's all right. So look up the first verse, and the number is very interesting. The verse number itself.
That's Matthew 22:16.
No, the second one is 36, right? So I remember I said before the 36 number, right?
Yes.
Of the Old Testament,
Right.
in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So look up 22:16 and you'll find that it's a very interesting number.
Well,
It's a mirror number.
Yes, Revelation.
Well, you can do that too. Look up
Yeah.
Revelation 22.
Greek 22:16. Zerubbabel, an Israelite
Keep reading.
of Hebrew origin, 22:16.
Hello?
Yes.
So the Hebrew word for Zerubbabel is the same as the Greek word for Zerubbabel.
Yes.
They're both number 22:16. Now, for that to occur in a dictionary which is 8674 words
Yes.
of Hebrew, and then
5624 words of Greek.
is that how many there is?
Mm.
Of Greek, then how come, one is Greek, one is Hebrew, how come
It's the
the
same.
word Zerubbabel lines up at the 2216 word of Hebrew and 2216 of Greek? Two different languages, two different ways of spelling it, all come up with the same, right? because it's a sign. Right, from memory, let me think now. Sometimes I forget things, you know.
Well, you were measuring the other day. Was it from Mount Cook back to birthplace? And what did it say? Old?
Getting old.
Getting old. Well, you are the ancient of days, babe. You're allowed to.
Well, maybe. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. Now, add up the 3 verse numbers.
What was the... I've got 22, 16, 12, 13, and what's the other one?
Oh dear, I've got to memorize it
Mark?
now.
3, 6.
12, Mark 12, 13 it is.
I've got that one. I've got 3, 6.
Okay,
All right, so
add
I'm
more.
adding up the 9, 7... 3, 7, 8, 9.
What do you got? 3, 7, 8, 9?
Hmm.
12, 13 plus 36.
3, 6. Oh, I added it in as 3.6.
You don't add them in as 3.6.
You want 36.
Of course. You see, I'm getting old.
Yeah, all right. What did you get then?
I'll tell you the number, all right? I've already
All
done it in my head.
All right.
Want a number?
Yeah, go on.
3465. All right. Now go type that in, you little sausage.
3, 4, 6, 5.
Yeah.
A region of Asia Minor.
Yeah, not that one.
Marcia. Greek. Hebrew, rather.
Greek. Or Hebrew, one of that. Hebrew.
3, 4, 6, 5.
What?
Old. And it's spelled...
So who's getting old here?
You're Sean. You're Sean. You have been Sean. Old. From 3462. 462. Oh, that's great.
Alright, so when you see a number like that, and there's only 3 verses, it's a code in it, right?
Yes, alright.
We can do the English Gematria on it, there's another code in that. Or you can do the last verse, and that'll tell you. You could do 12, 13, Mark 12, 13. So just do the number 12, 13 in Greek and Hebrew.
Declare, show, signify from 12, 12
Yeah.
to make plain by words. Okay.
Make plain by words. I think that's what we're doing, isn't it?
12, 13 from 12, 11, a peeling, as in peeling.
Field back. So there's a thing that was known in the old days when you uncover something, you're like peeling an onion.
Onion, yes, layer upon
layer
layer.
upon layer. You go right down to the centre.
Mm.
See what it is. If you do it with a pearl, the pearl is in the genitals of the oyster. You know how that formed? So you get the pearl, and you take the pearl apart and go right, you know what's in there?
What?
Grain of sand.
Ah.
So getting a grain of sand in your nuts is not a good idea because you'll end up with a pearl of great price.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Alright.
You're quite disgusting, aren't you? You shouldn't you're a lady, you shouldn't laugh at stuff like that. You should know I'm offended. But you're worse than I am.
I just laugh at the insanity of it.
Okay, so that's how it goes, right? So Zerubbabel. Now, why is Zerubbabel so important?
He was the one.
He was one what?
And the temple.
He was the one that came back to build the temple.
That's right.
We've gone full circle here.
Yeah.
All right, so it was the Herodians that come up with 3 different ways to crucify someone. This is where the Jehovah's Witnesses get it from. He was hung on a stake. Like Jehovah's Witnesses are mentally ill.
Yes.
I mean, all Christians are mentally ill, but the Jehovah's Witnesses really take the cake. They do. They really do.
I'm just remembering when now Francis, who at one point called Christians mentally ill, he got it from you. And the hoo-ha in the media.
Oh, absolutely.
Amongst,
Well, he's read everything all right? So if I
Yes.
say they're mentally ill, a good idea.
Oh, he's
so
got
he
his-
says the same
he's
thing.
got
Because
his
he's a
trusted-
Jew, right?
He's got his trusted aides and confidants watching everything and then reporting back to him, so he picks up the lines.
Yeah, maybe you report this back. His days are numbered. Like everyone's days are numbered except mine and yours, right?
Right.
or if you're one of mine. It ain't numbered no more, mate. Because you're immortal. Now, we've just been watching a movie last night. What was it? Bourne...
Oh, the Bourne Identity.
Identity. It's quite a interesting movie that we know this for a fact to be true, because with our spy that come out from America, that was the man who sorted the mail for Obama. He's got to be one of them, right?
And he kept saying, but I'm a Jew, I'm a Jew, I'm a Jew. So we're playing around and, oh no, you're all right.
He's well hypnotised, and he said he was working for him at the FBI.
He went to a Jewish school, the whole ball and wax.
So, his friend Ruff was a son of an admiral.
Yes.
And his job, and I have spoke to him personally, this guy.
Yes.
Lovely speaking voice, isn't he?
Yes, he has. Yes. That's how he got his wife. Mm-hmm.
That's right, because
speaking
of his voice. Yeah. Lovely speaking voice. He was an assassin for the
mercenary.
Mercenary. So here we get orders to go out and kill people. And he told me it got to the stage where he was killing people that had no military significance.
Yes. No longer did it make any sense to be ridding the
so
earth.
he decided to retire. Now, you don't retire from that kind of thing. It's called a box. Right? Or they drop you in the sea somewhere. But his father was a top-ranking admiral in the Navy, and that's what saved his ass. They couldn't kill the admiral's son. That's how he got out of it. Now, I suppose they'd wait until the admiral died, and then they killed him. So this Bourne conspiracy was that type of thing. And these assassins that they train are extraordinarily talented in many fields, but martial arts experts with all sorts of weapons.
Yeah, machines, fighting
they're
machines.
like a machine, right. And we're sitting here saying, I'm going to kill all the Jews. Why isn't there one walking up the window and putting a slug in me?
Yeah, well, we have no...
I've challenged these bastards. You name the place, the dark alley, the time in the morning, and I already did that when I was talking to the Mossad in Ottawa, and they come out and tried. Didn't work. Remember, I'm playing 12th of Never in my Pontiac Firebird.
I think we'll have to play that today. I'll get it up on the deck. Keep going. Go on.
Have I sung that one?
Yes, I've got it for the deck. We'll have it going.
So they come up behind me. I got the door open. It's at night time, right?
Yes.
And I told them that where the deepest part of the lake was 666 feet, given the actual coordinates of it. Plus I put a cinder block, a rope, and a boat at the end of the wharf on Sprout Lake.
Come and get me. Make my day.
So
do what you can.
Prove it.
Sure, go ahead. Reminds me of the conversation with again, that overheard by Leo in 1884, Pope Leo the 13th,
right.
Conversation. Lucifer's asking this, that and the other, give me the power, give me this, and the sweet voice of the Lord, you have it.
How long would you like? 75 years?
75 to 100 you wanted.
We'll give you 100.
Make my day.
Well, I've been saying it ever since I opened Little Blinkers as a child.
Yes.
Now, I have spoke to you many, many times about this phenomena, and we spoke about it 2 days ago, how there have been events in my life that are absolutely parallel, as if suffering 3 separate events at the same time, and then in the future looking back on it and realising that this could not have happened.
That could not have happened at the same time.
Same time.
Okay, all right. That reminds me. Hold that thought.
All right.
The wheels within wheels. Because the paintings. Okay. I was going to put up the other one, which I called Wheels Within Wheels, but I'll explain this one first. This is the last one, the last design I painted right before I found Yahweh. And in my mind, I was thinking about the blackness, or the darkness of the universe, if you like, and the creation. And in my mind, I was thinking down here, I called this, in the beginning, was thought, and it was gilt-edged. Gilt meaning edged with gold, which is what I do all of my paintings. So it was like this effervescence. This is what I'm thinking. I haven't found him yet. It was like this effervescence coming from the one in the beginning and then just multiplying like this effervescence of spheres, balls, thought. But it's all thought replicating throughout the universe. So that's what I called it. In the beginning was thought and it was gilt-edged, which is exactly the way that Yah explains how it was in the beginning. So while you just go over that with the bottle, I'll get the other one.
If you take a bottle of soda water, something nice and clear, take all the labels off it, of course.
Oops.
And put a camera on it. You see the camera will look straight through the depth of the bottle. Let's say a 1.5 litre bottle of soda water or something like that. And then you take the top off, what happens? You'll find bubbles will form instantly all across the liquid. So therefore, creation's like that. Everything was formed as if temperature and heat in particular reached a point of saturation where it could not contain the thought within it that became the visible universe. It's all younger than the Earth. The Earth is the oldest. All right?
And then after I found him, some time after, and we'd been to New Guinea twice doing what we did up there, and I painted this one that I called Wheels Within Wheels.
Ezekiel.
I was thinking of Ezekiel, and you know, the wheels within wheels that you
Turn
were...
it on the side so I can get it in better.
On the side, okay.
There you go.
And as you were talking about those times in your life where there were three things going on, later you realised were happening at the same time that were impossible. So the wheels...
And I should add, they're all dreadful.
Yes.
Things that I would not do, for example.
Yeah.
And the result of them was always to my detriment.
Yes. Well, as you can see, as these realms are the wheels within the wheels, as they intersect with each other, these moments in time, you're literally in three different realms at once.
That's right. It's a very good explanation in graphic terms of what I'm trying to express here.
Yeah.
So, yes, the think of it as opening a bottle of soda water, and you've got to put a camera on it. Maybe I did that the other day. I did it a long time ago. Shouldn't say other day. As an explanation, that one before I met you, I did that. And what's the other one you got there?
Oh, this one again. Before I found you, and
I showed up yesterday, right?
No, I had a different one up yesterday. This one is quite a story. All right. Again, it was I just had to get out and the thing that the spheres and there's 13 all interconnecting, and I didn't know what to call this one, but I aged it. It looks old, texturized, and I aged it again. Everything gilt-edged, and I took it. Well, first of all, I had a phone call during the day from somebody that I met fairly recently, been to their place. That's that prayer meeting, that the one who was the self-appointed Peter, I think his name was, whatever. Anyway, he phoned me and he just said, you are an apostle. He just said it out of the blue, you are an apostle. And it was to do with, at that time, the mines and things like that. And he was talking being an apostle over these mines, isn't it? And I go, yeah, okay, all right, got it, all right, thank you for that. The same day, I take this around to my mother. No, it was a photograph. I took a photograph of it, took her the photograph, and I said to her, just throwing it out there, what should I call it? She looked at it and said, Apostles. So I did, I called it the Apostles. And in the centre, of course, is Yahweh, known as Jesus then, and then you have the 12. So this is called the Apostles. And again, prophetically, It was, let me see the date on this one, because I found you. I don't have a date on that one, but I found you in 2008. So this had to have been November, December 2007 that I painted this one, because it was the lead up to finding you. And then the last was the exhibition where a strange woman... Now, it was strange that I was even in the place that I was. I was at some church hall thing, helping out for the day, helping handicapped people who were going there.
Helping your family, were you?
No. Helping at a craft art place, teaching art to handicapped people. They'd have a day up, that kind of thing. I was there, and this woman comes in, and she's not handicapped, but she's an organiser of exhibitions locally, because it's a very arty area down there. And I had all the photographs in a small portfolio. She looked at them, and she said, I want this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. She chose 6 paintings, and she wanted them to exhibit at this Robertson Hall exhibition. Now, this happened 2 weeks before I found you. And when I wrote down, because I name all of my paintings, when I wrote down the names of all the paintings that she had chosen, not me, and they were not particularly my favourites, I realised it was proclaiming a statement. It was the most amazing thing. I'm going, oh my God.
I heard that.
I'm writing the future with the statements. So I lined it up so it read on the wall. I had the statements through the titles of each one. That was 2 weeks before I found you. So, glory, glory, hallelujah. And of course, one of them was the apostles, and the others were about the second coming, the second time, and once you remove the static, darkness into light, all this kind of stuff. So it was really quite an amazing time for me. It was stressful, and at the same time, when I found him, of course, it was vindication, total vindication, because until then it had been suggested that I be committed by a couple of people that thought I was totally insane. Anyway.
Of course they were.
Absolutely. And then, of course, I'd already figured out that we are in hell. And so to prosper when you're in hell ain't a good thing, because it means you're serving the god of hell, which is Beelzebub, which is Rothschild, Israel, Tel Aviv, as pinpointed in my Google Earth. And I think it was Ross who did ask, have you measured from that point where that pin is being placed? Seems to be just for us. He asked, had you measured? So, not yet. Maybe you will, maybe he won't.
I just want to add to, if you measure anything with Google Earth, what you have to do is divide the number you end up with by 1.0005607, and that'll give you your accuracy.
Right, everything else will be inaccurate. That's the altering of the databases. Joel did a really good Google Earth deception while we're in Fiji, because Yar's work was already up. This is going back now, 2010, rather 2010, 2009, that kind of thing. All the work had been up there since 2006 in his measurements. And so Joel went in to prove how they had changed the database of Google Earth when they had the measure between, what was it, the Washington DC
pyramid at
pyramid
5813 nautical mile.
Right, and it was out by 503 miles.
When they did
nice
this,
try.
when they laid out Washington, it was done on a 10 mile square by the surveyors, and they was trying to get to the closest possible location which would line up with their numbers. And some of the numbers were the Vatican, and the other ones was the Eiffel Tower area where it would become the Eiffel Tower, and Statue of Liberty, which would become later. They had this all thought out and planned out before. When you go putting these things into power and position, You plan it first, right?
Mm.
You don't go build it then measure it.
Mm.
You've planned it out. This is what we're going to build in the future. This one will be built by Eiffel in France. This one's going to be done by blah, blah, blah. But they had the pyramid and they had the Vatican. And they tried to do it.
Mm.
Of course, they already knew that I was using numbers and watching.
Mm.
Right? Now, when they're doing it, and if people get onto the rumour that you use numbers to measure the Earth, they get to measure in their own system. And of course, this is why you've got Wiki Encyclopedia. It's all Jewish.
Mm.
Right? You'll never find anything that supports what I'm saying in there.
Mm.
Right?
You can't even get in there.
Sometimes they actually stumble across something and they said the truth today.
You know what, with Wiki, you've lasted 45 minutes and then gone at the longest try.
Right.
But your work is so original, it doesn't come, you're not copying or regurgitating somebody else's work, and of course you're ignored by them. So they keep crapping on about having external references, etc., as in being published in some magazine or some newspaper or something somewhere. Which of course, mind you, we did have our little bit of publicity when we were in Fiji with the newspaper there, remember? Jesus, what would it called it? Jesus, I've got a copy of it somewhere. Jesus in Fiji. That after the immigration bout, and we were allowed to stay, we go to Lambasa, and the journalist comes out and interviews us.
Right.
Remember? And that resulted in the letter to the editor of the Fiji Times, because, as I pointed out, how the hell do you expect anybody to get it right after 200 years, which is when the Gospels and everything were published, when your reporter couldn't get it right just 2 days ago. And we've got it on camera. Anyway, it's all part of the DVD.
Well, reporters aren't employed to get things right. They're employed to make a story.
Yeah.
So that's the important thing about reporters. Right?
Yeah. And then the challenge went out from there because, they had us in Fiji, and then, of course, they go to interview the preachers and teachers of Judaism and these are the... Frank Bainimarama had frozen the bank accounts of all the ministers in Fiji,
right,
which totaled 20 million Fijian dollars in all of their accounts. And our experience was, because every village you go to has a church. They are all totally devoured by the beast.
But don't stop them eating each other, however.
Yeah, well. And so $20 million cumulative sitting in the accounts of the ministers and pastors, while the wives of soldiers who are being paid a really handsome $10 Fiji per day to go and fight in Iraq, and this is a true story from Joseph at the village, remember? Seti's village told us this. He has been on 3 tours of Iraq, being paid $10 Fiji per day.
An 8-year period.
Over an 8-year period. When he got back, his wife had sold the refrigerator and the home appliances to raise money to give to the local pastor who was building another bloody church.
He already owned 7 houses or something.
And anyway, and so when Frank Bainimarama freezes the accounts of the ministers in it...
Also, they put them in the front lines.
Yes.
Because they got birth certificates, right?
Yes, Fiji.
So they get killed, you get the birth certificate, you get the kickback.
Also, Fiji, the village people were still owners of the land at that point when we were there. So you've got to get rid of the original owners.
Now, those 3 verses of the Herodians I was talking about, if you add them all together and do the Gematria on them, and because it's Babylonian, right, times 6, the number is 25200. So where does it come from? 69 years. Right?
But yes, the age you were when you turned.
Which verse do you find that in?
Revelation 3:12, your name. 312, your name.
So it's in 3:12, and that's where you get the same number of 25200 for the value of that verse.
Times 10, when it's times 10, it's 2520, and then times 10, which you were.
Well, that makes it 69 years, or 70 years
Hebrew
when you divide
years.
by the Hebrew years, it's 360.
Hebrew years. So it was on that critical date, 69 years old, 70 in Hebrew. So that was January 11th, 2013, exactly 2 months before Benedict recognised and announced you, Salvatore Mundi, Brian Leonard Golightly, Marshall. Now it's time to go. We are up. Yes, over Rover.
I'm just getting rolling here.
Well, you'll have to keep rolling tomorrow. Anyway, guys, thank you for coming in and saying hello.
Any questions, send them in.
And I'm trying to click on Rodney's. He's left a link, Yahweh's face appearing in the sky at sunrise, and but it won't. I can't click on it from the chat. Here it says, bye, much love. Yes, much love to all of you. Thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow with more of the ripping yarn.